My name's Gianni. I'm 21 years old. I'm currently studying Spanish and political science at Howard University, which is located in Washington, D.C. I'm originally from a small suburb outside of Atlanta called Marietta, Georgia. And in addition to school, right now I'm currently an intern at Emily's List, which is a PAC here in DC that did a lot of work to help elect pro-choice Democratic women to Congress.
So it's a pleasure for us to have you here to share your perspective, to share your comments related to the 2020 elections. And for us, it's a pleasure. Thank you for your time, Gianni. And we are very excited to ask you some questions. And first of all, I would like to, if you can share with us your perspective related to the 2020 elections, but in particular, the role played by minorities, for example, African Americans, Latinos, LGBT plus community, and all the minorities that you think impact in the regarding the narrative and also the vote. Can you give us your perspective, please?
Yeah, so I think minorities played a big role in this year's election, as they often do. In the last election, about 53% of white women ended up voting for Trump, and this year it increased even more. But Joe Biden was still able to win this year because of the role that minorities played. Around 97% of Black women voted for Joe Biden, and that definitely helped make the difference. As well as states like Arizona, we saw like members of like the Navajo Nation and indigenous communities. They really turned out and helped to flip that state blue, because the state previously voted for Donald Trump in the last election, and this year they voted for Joe Biden. So I would say that minorities definitely had a big impact on this year's election, and definitely swayed the results in Joe Biden's favor. Without the minority vote, Donald Trump definitely would have seen another term. So yeah, I think that, and it's not just, Black women or just indigenous women. It's Latinos and the LGBT community. They all overwhelmingly supported Joe Biden this year, which was definitely inspiring to see, and definitely, like I said, helped Joe Biden to win.
So great, everything that you have already told us. And I have a question. Why did you think minorities vote for a Democratic candidate? I know it's a little bit easier, and wait, not easier, but maybe predictable, the answer, but I want to give your own perspective also as an American citizen, your perspective about the election, first of all in general, and secondly regarding minorities. Why do you think they vote for Joe Biden?
I think, like you said, the answer is kind of predictable, especially within the past few years. Definitely, we're seeing the Republican Party take more of a shift to like a, I guess, like a white nationalist platform almost. Like I said, I'm currently in DC right now. And this past weekend, there were a whole bunch of white nationalists marching in the Capitol, contesting like the results of the election and in support of Donald Trump. And as he is currently our president, that's really, I guess, divisive, to have these just like open racists blatantly supporting a mainstream politician, I guess. So it's definitely for a lot of minorities. I can't speak for everybody, but I just know for me personally, to see a party just almost endorse racism like that is really disheartening and makes Biden the obvious choice. I will say, however, for some minorities, because it's not like a monolith, I guess, everyone's different. Like, for example, in Florida, the Miami Cubans, the Cubans in Miami, they played a big part in flipping the state red, actually, for Donald Trump, which of course has to do with like the whole history of their home country, Cuba, and Donald Trump really made a point to paint Joe Biden as a socialist president, which is not true, but the messaging still stuck. So a lot of them overwhelmingly actually ended up voting for Trump, which I think was definitely a surprise to many. It was a surprise to me to see that happening. So I definitely think that's interesting. But I think overall, for most of the groups that are in like minority or in the minority, the Republican Party now is just way too divisive and is actively fighting against the human rights of so many of these minority groups that Joe Biden seemed like the obvious choice.
I totally agree with you, and in the international perspective, we also see the same as you. So I think it's very valuable, your comment. And like for the end of the interview, could you give us a little message, something that you could think it's valuable for us? And I know you are very interested in politics, and did you have any special message to end this interview?
I think if I just like had just one last thing to say, the past 4 years, I feel like, I mean, and I don't know, I'd be interested, I guess, to hear your perspective, living in Mexico, but I think the past 4 years has been a really embarrassing time, more than normal, to be an American, with Donald Trump as our president and being as divisive as he is. So I would say that I'm just beyond happy that we now have a president-elect, Joe Biden. I definitely think that over the next 4 years, he will definitely be open to a lot of criticism. But I think that it just shows that our country is finally taking the step in a right direction. The past 4 years have been kind of hard. And it's definitely, I just feel like America's almost been like an embarrassment on the world stage. But I think that the next 4 years will definitely be just like full of hope. And I guess I'm more than happy with the outcome of this year's election. So I guess that would be like my last thing.
Thank you, Gianni, for your time. For us, it was a pleasure to have a great, wonderful human being with us, talking about her perspective. And for me, it's all. And thank you for your time.